So how do I find a greatest common factor with a variable? We talked about numbers, and that's just finding the factors of them, but variables are just a little bit different. So do you remember your rules about exponents? So that if I multiply two bases that are the same, then I add their exponents. So something like this. So if I have x to the fourth times x to the third, that ends up being x to the 4 plus 3, or x to the 7th. So that's putting them together, but I can take them apart the exact same way. I can factor them the exact same way. So what I'm going to do first is I'm going to look through all of these terms that I have. I have an x variable in each term, and I have a y variable in each term. So my greatest common factor is going to have both an x and a y. Now my problem is going to be, what's going to be my exponent? Well, if I can take all of these exponents apart, then the only thing I'm going to have to do is look for the least exponent on both my x and my y, and that's going to be my common factor. So I have an x to the third, an x to the fourth, and an x squared, or x to the second. My least number between 3, 4, and 2 is 2, so my exponent on my x is going to be 2. I do the exact same thing for y. So I have a 5, a 3, and a 2. So my least common exponent on all of those is going to be a 2. So my greatest common factor between all of those things is x squared, y squared. Now let me give you one to try. So what about x to the fifth, y to the third, z squared, and x to the fourth, y to the second, z, and x6, y10. See if you can figure out the greatest common factor between those three terms. Stop the video now and try it if you'd like, and then I'm going to go ahead and work it. So the first thing I'm going to do is look at all the terms and find the variables that are common in all of them. I have an x, and an x. So my greatest common factor will have an x. I have a y, I have a y, and I have a y. My greatest common factor will have a y. I have a z, I have a z, but I don't have a z here, so my greatest common factor will not include z in it. Now, the only thing I'm going to have to look for is now the variables, or excuse me, the exponents on the variables x and y. So I have a 5, I have a 4, and I have a 6. The least number between 5, 4, and 6 is 4. So the exponent on my x will be 4. My y, I have a 3, I have a 2, and I have a 10. The least number between 3, 2, and 10 is 2, so I have a y squared. X to the fourth y squared is going to be my greatest common factor between these three terms.